Is that this guy, JJ Trujillo?
A talent that came out of nowhere.
And he is making an episodic, he's doing a good job.
Julio, how good are these videos, dude? I mean,
the level, very professionally made.
Everyone just rolls right into the next. JJ, man, fucking great job. You need so many more subs on your channel to watch these videos.
He's making brief videos that are explaining what the hell is wrong with, ISOM and the whole ISOM meltdown. And these are great because if you watch them, this is JJ Trujillo Writes.
And it's just great content that he puts out on his channel.
Right here, you can see JJ Trujillo Writes. You should subscribe to him.
This is the stuff I like to watch. Like, it's not overdone. It's just factual stuff and presented in a fair and balanced way, like Fox News, fair and balanced.
And it's 5 minutes long.
I recommend everybody in the chat to subscribe to JJ's channel. Check out Long Live the Liar on Amazon. It's only $5.
I'm going to shut down the virus.
Really? How about this? Why don't you give us a part of the plan, and that way we know you have it?
Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not. What do you think, huh?
Well, it's an interview, and we don't know that you really have the plan.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
Oh, sorry. What is your 3-step plan?
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
That's a very heavy accusation to level against Toby. So, how would you go about settling interpersonal conflicts within the office?
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
How many windows are there in New York City?
Somewhere between 700 billion and $1.3 billion. Great confidence in our son. He is the smartest man I know.
Shut up about the sun! Shut up about the sun! He creeps me out, but I think he might be a genius.
Good evening, everybody. So we have a very special guest today, Tom Tuttle.
Hey!
So how are you doing, Tom? Thanks for.
I'm doing great. You know, I've got another blurb for your intro there. All the people saying great things about you. I would add to that, JJ Trujillo is the brief and abstract chronicler of our time. After your death, you were better have a bad epitaph than his ill report while you live.
Thank you. I'm going to use that.
Boom!
So, well, one thing I have to say for those of you guys who don't know who Tom Tuttle is, which, by the way, if you don't know who Tom Tuttle is, where have you been? You know,
I make a lot of noise.
Yeah, and Tom's, you've been here from the beginning of
2019, almost the beginning. I was like a peripheral, whatever, like looking through the window in 2018, and 19 and 20 is when I came through the door.
Right, because I remember you and 7 of 9 were both pretty active from early on.
Oh yeah.
And we're the two elder statesmen of comics. Yes, exactly. And it's kind of cool too because you started as a fan, and now you're a creator. So I guess
that's crazy, man.
Yeah. Now the first thing I guess I do kind of want to ask is what got you roped into this little thing of ours, Comicsgate? How did you find out about it?
Well, you know, it was kind of by accident. I split up with my second ex right around the time that Richard was starting to do his early videos, back when it was Diversity in Comics. Right. And my second ex had a rule that she needed like a friggin' what do you call it? One of those sensory deprivation tanks to sleep in. Like she couldn't handle any noise, couldn't handle any light. It had to be pitch black and silent. I'm the opposite. I need some white noise when I'm going to sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as we split up and I had the whole bedroom to myself, I started looking for YouTube videos that I could just drift off to, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was Richard. Because I knew Richard from Ethan's Facebook page. I just knew, your boy Zach. And so I was like, hey, this guy's really got a lot on the ball. And then I remember finding out right around the time of Jawbreakers, like, wait, this is Richard? I know him, And so that, and plus Ethan's, thing with DC, both those things happening simultaneously kind of like made me say, hey, let me check out where these guys are going. These guys are talking about this new thing on the wild world of web. Let me check it out. And that's how I discovered Comicsgate.
So, what got you into comics, I guess, to start out? Because
man, oof. How long is your show?
Well, I mean, as long as it's a good conversation, we can go till sundown, right? That's
7 Amens Before Sundown.
Yeah, well, not till sundown, just right before it.
Right before sundown. That's right, right. So I can't tell you what like my first introduction to them was. I can tell you that I was about between 8 and 10. I have a couple very early memories of comics. Probably my earliest memory of a comic is, and this must have been 1976, so I'm maybe 6 years old. My father decided he was going to start fire drills at night to see how ready for a fire his family was.
Yeah.
So one night, it seemed like the middle of the night to me. It was probably only about 11:30. My dad set off the smoke alarm and has the stopwatch and all that to see how fast we get to the door. And because it was a surprise fire alarm, I wasn't expecting it. I was trying to save my comics before leaving. So I had this real old school duffel bag, the kind of duffel bags they have in in your rucksack in the Korean War. This old gym bag. And I'm literally stuffing. I'm 6. What do I know about condition? I'm cramming them into this duffel bag. And the one that was on top, I remember the one. It was either a Batman or a detective. I can't tell you the issue number, but it was 1976 because every DC comic that year had that bicentennial banner across the top.
Oh yeah, I know which one you mean. Yeah,
and it's the one where it introduces the Black Spider, which is clearly a Spider-Man ripoff, but it's got like one of them swinging into the scene, one of them swinging up into the scene, and they're collide in the air. That's the one I was trying to save. I lived within walking distance of a strip mall, and they had a spinner rack, and then just up the street from there was a 7-Eleven with another spinner rack. I bought all my old comics off the spinner racks. When I was a kid, my grandparents lived in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And when I was a kid, I would beg my parents, hey, when we go see, my grandparents, can you just drop me off at Fat Jack's for a couple hours, which is a comic shop in Philadelphia? Because to me, the idea of a whole store filled with comics and comic stuff, it was like Wonderland,
Right.
And this is what a different era it was. It's like late 70s.
Honestly one of the earliest comic book shops in the country,
Yeah.
There was very few that existed that date.
It's my childhood shop, man, whenever I would visit my grandparents. And just to show what a different era it was, my parents would leave little 6-7-year-old Tommy in a comic book store filled with adults in downtown Philadelphia for 3 hours.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll come back at 5. I mean, these days you see all the the horror movies, but the parents come back and the child is gone.
Right.
This was the 70s, man. We were at least 18 months away from the Atlanta child murders.
Wow.
It's funny how back in the 70s too, I'm sure there were a lot of people who are like, man, things are so much more degenerate now compared to how it used to be. But yeah, that's kind of another conversation. I thought I remembered Ethan actually saying that he used to go to Fat Jack's too.
Yeah, Fat Jack's was Ethan's shop too.
Yeah, so that was in Philly. And what was it like back then? Did they have a lot of kind of underground art and that kind of stuff?
It reminded me a lot. Right after this guy became famous, a year and a half ago, his name's Glenn something. He owns Comic Book Palace. Glenn O'Leary. Yeah. I started watching his show for ASMR purposes. Like I tell you, I need to go to sleep to white noise, and it just felt so relaxing putting his show on. It was like being in a shop, and just being in a shop with nothing on for the rest of the day but to hang out in the shop and talk with whoever comes in. And so yeah, I used his show for a while as ASMR just to put myself to sleep to, and it was absolutely wonderful because what you fall asleep to kind of informs your dreams.
Right. I love Glenn's videos. They're so funny.
Like, they're fantastic. I love that guy.
Yeah, he'll just be like, "Oh, this book is total crap," and I'll be like, "Oh man, this is good." It's just kind of, it feels like almost like Pawn Stars to a certain degree too.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, tying it to your question, my memory as a kid in it was just like Glenn's shop.
Wow.
Bunch of guys. I sold something there. At the age of 8, I was a horse trader because what would I get to spend at the shop? I'd get my allowance, which back in those days was like $3 or something.
Yeah.
But I knew I had something. I had one of those book and record sets, Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman, and it was Neil Adams art.
Oh wow! How much was that?
Well, I had it. It was just gifted to me from a relative. And I remember thinking, I bet I could take this to Fat Jack's and sell it and then use the money to buy new comics. And so I remember just like approaching somebody at the shop and said, "You want to buy this?" And the guy like laughed at me, like, "Get away, get out of here, kid." And the guy behind the register goes, "Hey, Larry, that's Neil Adams art." And then the conversation changed. So I think I got like $20 for it.
Oh no.
Well,
maybe with inflation, I'm thinking $20 nowadays. So, but yeah, that might have been.
But in the 70s, it might not have commanded such a high figure as it would today.
Because
he had just done it.
That's true. That's true. Now though, Neil Adams is kind of, for me, he's kind of one of the big defining figures for, just a lot of the early DC stuff. I love his Batman stuff, his Green Lantern stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of like spilled over a little bit, like that. It kind of was what the style that was being copied. So
absolutely.
No, that's awesome.
Well, for me, Neil Adams is like the cover artist of my youth because, a cover has one job and one job only, to make it so that it's now a matter of life and death for you. You gotta buy this comic and find out what the fuck is going on inside, right?
Right.
Can I say the F word? I don't want to screw anything up.
Oh yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So like Neil Adams was like the master of this because he'd do these covers and you were like, holy shit, how the hell did this? Usually like Superman being a dick or Superman dying. Those are like the two mainstays. Like they had a whole cottage industry of Superman as a dick covers.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, like when you look at old covers, how much things have changed. There was a lot of gimmicks to it. Not that's necessarily a bad thing.
If it got you to buy the book, it did its job.
Oh,
JJ, you are stuttering.
You can't hear me? It's not.
I can hear you, but you're roboting.
Okay, just a sec.
Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger. You may see a stranger across. Oh, hey, he's back.
Can you hear me clearly now?
I can hear you. I tried to vamp there for a minute. I don't know how well I did.
Well, we still have people in the chat, so you must have been doing pretty good.
Oh, very good. You're very kind, chat. You're very kind.
So, yeah, my dad's actually about your age. And I remember, like, looking at a lot of the stuff he collected, and I was like, oh, man, that's not really... Yeah, I would see the covers, and I'd get excited, and I'm like, okay, that's not really what the story was like. Never mind.
Right, exactly. And you'd have this beautiful Neil Adams cover, and then, you open up the book, and it's Don Heck.
Right.
And I'm not nothing against these guys. I mean, I'm sure they were great, journeyman artists, but like not nearly as dazzling as Neil Adams.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's just kind of just a funny thing. So speaking actually about Glenn O'Leary, I'm trying to see if I can find this old intro video that he had. You know, remember when everybody was like dogpiling on him?
Oh yeah, that's how I learned about him.
Yeah, I thought that you might have actually appeared in his video, like one of your tweets. I'm trying to see if I can find it.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, I'm trying to see because he did like, I don't remember if you remember this, but he did like a money for nothing thing, you know?
Okay.
And then he was just kind of like slowly walking into his comic book shop. But yeah, I don't know if I can find it. It's probably not that big of a deal. I can't remember, but I thought I remembered your Twitter vaguely being in there. So
hey, if he cited me, that's a badge of honor, man. The only claim to fame I've got, and I don't even know if I'm gonna get the names right, but back in like the Bush years, there was a guy, and I think his name was Glenn Reynolds. He had like Instapundit was his website. I don't know if he's big at all now. He was big in 2008 or whatever. But I said something on Facebook once, and I made his website, so I was proud of that.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Let me get caught up real quick with the chat. So I see we have A. Riley in it, and we have Cosmic Vader. He says, shout out, subscribe to JJ Trujillo Writes, #1 Amish, Hispanic, soy-free, keto, high tea, badass, trash sifter, author, subscribe and send money. Also like and share this stream. And then we also have, let's see, we have Sig Lad, we have McHugh, and we have Mike Hunt. He just said Liam did a stream. So yeah, Liam, we're not going to really, I don't think I want to talk about that right now. I kind of gave all my opinions about, I see Enrique Cabrera too. He said you were safe because you weren't sexy enough. So he's talking about you as a kid at Fat Jack. So I don't know. Do you have anything to respond to that?
Say it again. I didn't catch what he said.
Enrique said you were safe because you weren't sexy enough.
All right, let me just say that is factually inaccurate. Because at every stage of my life, I have been the epitome of sexiness. I give off a raw animal funk. It's been a curse my whole life.
Women can feel your testosterone like wafting through the air, right?
It's the Kavorka. That's what I got, the Kavorka.
Exactly. And I saw someone else here. Just a second. Someone else mentioned you in a comment, and I want to see what I'm trying to see if I can find it again. Let's see. There's so many people. Sometimes it can be easy to miss stuff. But let's see. They said something about Sturgis. Basically saying you didn't stop Ethan from smoking crack with lesbians. Something.
Well, let me address that without addressing any of the factual assertions contained therein. It is not the job of a grown man to let or not let another grown man do anything. That's what women do. When you see women go off to the bathroom in these packs of 10, hopping like a collective bunny, that's what women do. Your job as, for want of a better word, wingman, although it's not really a wingman, your job with your buddy at any gathering, you have two components to that job. Don't let him drive. If he gets in a fight, have his back.
Yeah.
And I will say that Ethan parked his car far enough away that nobody, sober or drunk, could have found it. Holy God, he parked in another state. And two, I can't say that he almost didn't get in any fights that night, but he didn't actually get in any fights. It was right after some baseball game featuring the Mets. And the Mets were up and the Phillies were down in that moment. And Ethan was letting anyone who wondered know that he believed that Mets fans prefer the company of men. And the convention in question was in Parsippany.
Oh no, there's a lot of people who enjoy the company of men.
We were in Mets country, and Ethan wanted to pick a fight with all the Mets fans.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
No,
and so yeah. Well, did you smoke any crack that night or
not that night?
Okay, not that night.
Not that night.
Oh man,
I did, however, make my on-screen debut that night.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
That's true, because I was on screen telling a really incredible and poetic poem about pelicans that Vickyverse, Sturgis, and those guys, what is it, the Schlonsky and the PPP, Worski and PPP, didn't understand my pelican poem at all. If they had, it would have been the poem that united us, finally, as one sphere.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Imagine what we could accomplish with Worski on our side.
Dude, we'd be unstoppable.
Nothing could get in our way. So
we'd be a juggernaut.
Exactly. Well, I also want to thank Barb Rogers real quick because she just gifted a membership. So thank you so much for doing that, Barb. And Barb is just honestly also like you, Tom. She's kind of one of the big staples in a CG chat.
Barb is terrific. She is pure blue, true blue.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know if you know this, Tom, but being a member on my channel, it's not just about receiving early access to videos. Like I have 5 episodes of Sifting Through the Trash that are members only right now.
Okay.
But it's also about a promise of things that you have to do. There's like an oath with it. So whoever you are, the new member, this is the oath of becoming a CG Templar, a Comicsgate Templar, and joining the channel.
Do you swear yourself to the Fraternal Order of CG Templars to fight against the forces of evil, cuckoldry, and unkempt shoulder hairs? Then ride with me into the Forbidden Lands on this crusade against the fiends of shadow. May the beams of the Emperor shine down upon you, and may you be led by the tender hands of Mother Nina, matriarch of the Detractors. Welcome now to the Order of CG Templar.
So anyway, thank you and welcome whoever you are to the Fraternal Order of Comicsgate Templars. You weren't on screen before that, were you, Tom? You were.
That was my first time ever on screen.
So, I recently saw. Let's see, was this the right video I was looking, or even the right tweet I was looking for? I saw some videos of you over here, or some pictures over here from back in the day. I was kind of wondering if you wanted to tell me about what's going on here. Why this black man is strangling. Oh, wait. I don't have it on the stage. My bad. I do that sometimes. I used to be Amish. But what's going on in this photo? Why
this is the Night Convergence Zero launched. This Convergence Zero was the beginning of DC's 2016 crossover event. And that issue of Zero was totally Ethan. It was a Ethan book. And so Ethan and Hunter were down at a shop in Baltimore for the signing. I came out and hooked up with them. We had dinner. And even before Twitter, we used to stage hijinks on Facebook. And there was a guy who frequented that shop who was always threatening to either beat me up or have me beaten up. So we went around the store and we got everybody who would volunteer, come out back and get a picture of yourself kicking the shit out of me. So that's what that is. Are we still live?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My mic just muted. I don't know what's going on tonight. I did not.
Yeah, it's a weird
My
night.
mic just muted all of a sudden. So, but
sometimes. Go ahead.
Sometimes I mute myself and talk into the void. Just to stand in solidarity with my favorite artist, Matt Barr. So
there you go.
So that's pretty cool. So what kind of made you a fan of Ethan? I guess. How did you find Ethan's art?
I loved his art, probably going back to the Impulse days.
Mm-hmm.
How we met was I found him on Facebook. And at the time I was like, wait a minute, this guy's a comic book artist and he's one of us. He's a right-wing guy just like me, right?
Right.
So got on Facebook, started hanging out on his Facebook page. Back in the day, Ethan's Facebook page was like a guy who lives down the block from you and has a never-ending party. Like the party never stops at, I don't know, Stumpy's house. So everyone is, you don't have anything to do? Let's swing by Stumpy's and see what's going on. And there was always some kind of fight going on Ethan's page. So that's that became like the Facebook hangout.
Right. And if you think about it, that's kind of the makings of Trashcast, really. Like you can kind of see, and kind of just, Comicsgate in general. It's kind of interesting to see how he really ended up, having all of these, a variety of different, like, personality traits and skills that, he needed to sort of, take that role. I saw this really funny post. Are you a fan of John Byrne?
Yeah.
By any chance? Yeah. Okay, so I was trying to make this video on John Byrne about, like, his alleged beef with Jim Shooter, but I never really found the conclusive information that I needed, so the video didn't happen. But I did find one thing that was kind of funny when I was like combing through his old forum. So I found this post from a long time ago. Let me show you this. This was from like 2000. This was from 2005. Yeah, so way back. So this guy, Mike Mackey, he said, John, as you remember, a few months ago, I posted some comments on my new series, Liberty for All, the world's first conservative comic book. So this post, I don't know who this guy is, by the way, but
it's anyway, not just liberty, isn't it? Libertity?
Yeah. Wait, liberality. My bad.
Liberality. Okay.
Yeah. Liberality for All. My bad. The world's first conservative comic book. At the time, I sought your Yoda-like advice because I had heard the dirty rumor that you, John Byrne, had been labeled a conservative, and based on that, clearly an evil monster working in the wrong industry. While my series, Liberality for All, is clearly a patriotic knee in the groin to the embodiment of the ultra-left, some are actually accusing me of being a closet liberal parodying the right wing. Imagine that. So I need to make something official. I am looking to attain the title of the most conservative creator in the comic book industry. Well, John, I am here to throw down my glove and proclaim myself a bigger conservative creator than you, so there. So anyway, that's just, so you're going to willingly fork over your rank or what? Yeah, the post goes on, but it's kind of redundant. And then right here, look at this guy. You see this name right here, Tom?
Yeah. What is it? 2005?
Yeah, 2005. He says, I own that title, So Ethan Van Sciver.
Well, you remember the stories about what's that guy? Rob Granito. That Rob Granito was essentially just stealing everyone's art and tracing it, I think. Right. And the famous story is that Ethan and Mark Waid were at the same con as this guy, and they both approached him. And Waid said something like, when you've got the furthest leftist and the furthest right-wing guy in Comicsgate both met at you at the same time, you done fucked up, pal. So, like, they used to, like, if not embrace his conservatism, at least, like, welcome it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was kind of 2016 and everything changed.
It was kind of like, how you have to have that one black friend. It's like, this is my one conservative friend. He was like the token conservative.
I can't be racist. Eric July agrees with me.
Exactly. I can't actually hate conservatives. Well, right. It's like not even he agrees with me, but I buy his. I just paid $35 for X comic, but that's the thing is, like, if he actually like put an N-word pass inside his books, imagine how much better his sales would do.
Hell, I might even buy one.
Yeah, for sure. Like, just to have a license to say that, like, that would be so cool. But unfortunately, he's not that based, so it's not going to happen.
No,
but
he's not based at all.
So what kind of, I guess, I'm always curious to see, like, what leads someone on their creative journey. But I guess the first question I should ask you, so we found out about how you liked comics. You saw them on the spinner rack. You once tried to save them in this duffel bag that, could have been used for selling large amounts of cocaine or heroin, but you were using it to store comic books, and you tried rushing it out of your house.
At that time.
Yes, at that time you weren't selling crap. Right. But then later on, you ended up kind of finding Ethan, and because he was, a guy who has his head screwed on his shoulders, that's how you started following him, and you loved his Facebook, and then that kind of, became the Comicsgate that we know of, right? As it's now known.
Yeah, I'd say.
But I guess, like, what led you to be interested in writing? I mean, I've seen you kind of like post a lot of Shakespeare stuff, so it seems like that might just be something you've always been interested in. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know that that one feeds into the other or they run parallel, but like I'm a lit major, right? So, I've always had a love for the spoken and the written word, and the idea of ideas conveyed through language. What is it? Laurie Anderson says language is a virus from outer space.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you love reading, at some point or another, you've tried writing, right? And so as a kid, I wrote these horrible science fiction. I remember my first science fiction story was the Starship Nova. And it was basically repackaged and repurposed Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, and Buck Rogers. Everything I liked in those shows got repurposed in my brain into the Starship Nova, right?
Nice.
And then, you hit college, and my lit major had an emphasis in dramatic lit, right? So I was reading a lot of plays. I was real active in the college theater, and so then that kind of shifts, your creative spasms into writing drama. So I wrote some plays in college, and I did get to see one not performed, but we did a staged reading of one once, and that was kind of magical to actually. It's just like when you see your comic book for the first time, when you see the shit that was in your head and it's suddenly on a stage or on paper, it's like a birth. And so I got to see a play performed, and then I hit law school, and then right after law school, and that's when that kind of shifted to the idea of writing film scripts. The story I tell, everyone asks, where'd 7 Amens come from? I put myself through law school working at a Cineplex. So I was working at our local movie theater.
Wow.
And so the summer of '94, all of us in the theater must have seen Pulp Fiction 100 times, right?
Right.
Because when you work at a movie theater, there's a lot of dead space between showings. Once everyone's in, you don't need the ticket taker anymore. You don't need maybe one guy to run the concession stand in case someone comes out, but everyone's in. So that's when you just go stand in the back and watch the gold watch scene from Pulp Fiction over and over again, or something like that. And so all of us from the theater went home and kind of dusted off our typewriters. I still had a typewriter back in those days, and started writing scripts. And one idea I had that is very different from what it became was 7 Amens Before Sundown. Because what I liked about the idea was the idea of having your protagonist, this gunslinger, is fighting off a whole town of vampires. This predates the publication of Stoker's novel by about 20 years. So aside from like not urban, but folklore, which my guy hasn't paid any attention to. He's not a guy for storytelling. My guy's never heard what a vampire is. He has no idea. He's got to learn on the fly. Why are these things different? Why are these people different from other people? Right.
Right.
So, but it was a very different story back in those back then. The idea of the wife did not exist in the early draft of that story. And my guy Sawyer Bain, his wife Mary, is she's the face that launched 1,000 ships. She's the reason the whole story exists in the first place, and she's she's crucial to my ending. So the original draft was really no more similar to what it became than cowboy versus vampire, right?
Yeah, no, that's cool though. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, what are like the most substantial changes you say you've made since 1994 when you first kind of conceived this idea?
The biggest change was adding in the romance, because when I say romance, I'll tell you what I told Katie did. It's a love story, but love stories aren't always nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I had the idea to include the wife, that was like opening the floodgates, because suddenly I had my beginning was a lot more fleshed out. And as I say, she's absolutely critical to the way I end it now. And I can't even imagine how I would have done the ending without her.
Is this like a one-shot story, or could this potentially be developed into?
No, in fact, it's just made the airwaves this month. I am currently in the middle of writing a follow-up book, which will take place in war-torn France in World War I, but is very much a sequel to Seven Amens. And I am going to be working with Peter Gilmore for the main story, and then I'm going to do a like an 8-page second story and bring Christian back for that story.
Wow! Now Peter's such a talented guy. It's pretty
my gosh! Yeah, and he is absolutely perfect for the World War I portion of the book, because I'm going to tell you, this is really inside baseball because you're going into my psyche. But like the first book, as I was writing it and as I was putting it together with the art and everything, I wanted the first book very much to be a love letter to Grindhouse cinema, right? And that's the title's very Grindhouse. I tried to make the book as Grindhouse. We talking with Christian, we tried to use very Grindhouse colors, very washed out sepia kind of thing. For the second book, and this is really obscure, I want to make it sort of a love letter to these old Percy Keese Fitzhugh Boy Scout books that I loved as a kid. When I was a kid, my Uncle George died, and he had this whole collection of like 1910 and 1920 dime novels, like Tom Swift and Pee Wee Harris, Tom Slade. And I fell in love with the Fitzhugh Boy Scout books. And in those books, Tom Slade, the main character, ends up signing up to go fight the Kaiser. So like his series of books, maybe the first 8 are about him being a Boy Scout, and the rest of him is him, over there with the boys in Boys in Brown.
Right.
So those books all had titles like Tom Slade at Mystery Lake, Tom Slade on a transport, Tom Slade, motorcycle dispatch bearer. So I want this second book to kind of have that kind of a title. I'm working right now with Lieutenant Bennett and the Endless Night. The title for the second book. And tying it back to what we were going to say, we were talking about Peter, is these old Boy Scout books had like little full-page illustrations on glossy paper. And Peter's work evokes that spirit in me so hard. As soon as I knew World War I was like, gotta have Peter for the World War I, gotta have Christian back for the sort of the Western Bridge.
Yeah. Well, it's a little crazy though to get Peter to work on this book in a sense, because I feel like there might be a bit of a conflict of interest.
How so?
Well, because Peter is a vampire. He actually was a veteran in World War I. So, like, I mean, I don't know. It might be weird just seeing him, like, portray his own kind.
I may or may not, or may be pumping him for vampire lore and vampire tidbits. Like, how do you shave if you can't see yourself in the mirror?
Exactly. Yeah, he would know all of that stuff.
But I had the inside track to asking him if he was interested, because he and I do a show on Fridays now, Friday Night Frights, with it's Peter's channel. It's me, it's Harry Talbot, CG Pete Callan, and 666. And every week we just shoot the shit about horror movies.
Right. Yeah, Friday Night Frights. Let me let's see. Let me get the link to that channel too. But real quick, A. Riley in it said, "Thank you, JJ and Barb. Mainly Barb because she is more lovely than you, JJ. She smells so nice." Oh. And what he's implying there is that I don't smell good, that I smell bad.
Well, or that you don't smell as good as a woman, which I don't know is an insult.
Yeah, no, that's true. I don't want to smell just as good as a woman.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be good. But who knows? I don't know. I mean, so maybe I can be smelled through the screens. That
Maybe.
wouldn't. Yeah, it could happen. But let me actually pull up the trailer for your book.
Okay.
It's a well. Another question I have too, actually, is how did you feel? Well, let me take it a step back. Were you big into DC like in the 90s?
I was always more a DC guy than a Marvel guy. I mean, I had familiarity with Marvel. You know, I read, you know, the Clone Saga in 90, whatever it was, 96. But I was more at home in DC.
Gotcha. So did you read like Knightfall and stuff?
Oh yeah. 93 was a great fucking summer, man.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
How did you feel to get Graham to do a cover? I mean, that's.
Can you imagine? I mean, can you imagine a dumpy middle-aged, and I say middle-aged if I'm going to live to be 112, dumpy middle-aged lawyer, you know, out of the sticks, and I got Graham Nolan doing my cover? Are you kidding me, man? It was a dream come true.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I feel like I can tell this story because Graham has told this story. I reached out to him and said, "Hey, how would you feel about doing a cover? Or, you know, can I talk to you about what your rates are?" And he goes, "Well, before I say yeah, what's your book about?" And I gave him like this elevator pitch. You know, gunslingers got to fight off a whole town of vampires and live through the night. What's it called? 7 Amens Before Sundown. And there's a long pause, and Graham goes, "Okay, I'm in."
Nice. No, it's such a good name. When I was a kid, there were these things called the Magic Treehouse, where it was like these two kids where they'd go in a treehouse and take them back in time. That the name actually sounds like something. Yeah, that sounds like a Magic Treehouse name. It's like, oh man,
yeah,
it's good.
I don't know if Magic Treehouse is something I remember from my childhood, or if I remember reading it to my kids.
Probably to your kids.
Okay.
I don't think it was made in the 70s, but yeah, no, they were fun. A little repetitive, but you know, as a kid, you like it when you're first starting to read. Yeah, let me pull up your trailer.
Oh, Vaughn did a great job. Amazing job.
I didn't realize till Kings yesterday how good of an artist he was.
Oh, he's terrific.
Okay, so a lot of times when there's fantasy creatures, Tom, people think that they're like a stand-in for an actual ethnic group or race.
No.
Is that the case with your vampires? Hey.
No, but they all do collectively represent my ex-wives.
Oh wow, that's pretty great actually. I wasn't expecting that answer. That's actually pretty
like the bloodsuckers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
drain all the life out of you.
True. That does actually make sense. So,
well, I got to say something about Vaughn real quick. Not only did he make this great trailer, and I came to him and I said, I'm looking for something really grindhousey, and Vaughn goes, "Oh, I can do you grindhouse. I can do grindhouse for you." And he turns this out, and not only did he turn this out, but he turned it out under the gun, because he had asked me to send him images for the trailer, and I fucked around until the very last minute just because I'm a fuck up. And so he got these images like the night before the trailer launched, did the whole thing in one night. And I remember I was getting out of my car. I was coming in because I think, we launched on Friday Night Frights. And I was coming in to get set up for the show, and I got an email or a text from him with the link, and I hit the button as I'm coming through the front yard, and I just stood there in my front yard like a grinning idiot, saying, "This is so much better than even I had in my brain." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just knocked it out of the park. Knocked it out of the park.
Like watching this, I actually do think, man, I want to see this movie, but or read the book. But
it's very cinematic, and I mean real cinematic, not like a fucked up 2-page spread cinematic.
So how close right now are you to? Is it okay if I play it one more time? Actually, and then we can pause and talk about what we see. And then another quick question is: do you know how close you are to wrapping up the campaign? Because you have had it open for a bit.
Yeah, we're in pre-press right now. So Eric Weathers has the files right now, and as soon as he clears it, we're ready to go to print. What I'm going to do, because I didn't know what I was doing, so I launched it as a storefront rather than a campaign with like a timeline. So there technically is no closing, but what I thought I would do is right before we're like when I have all the files, when we're ready to go to the printer, like the Friday right before that, we'll do like a quote unquote closing on Friday Night Frights.
Gotcha. No, that's cool. Okay, so let me hit play again.
This is our opening.
I love his cape, the way it's like waving in the wind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it turned out that that kind of duster, kind of poncho that like Clint Eastwood wears in the spaghetti westerns.
Right.
It translates real well to vampire shit, man, because as you say, it billows, it blows in the wind, it looks like a cape. The last image of the book, like that cape looks so fucking great on that. The last image is, I mean, it'll make a great poster if I ever turn it into a poster.
Be careful not to NDA yourself. Otherwise, you'll have to give yourself a loss.
Oh, yeah. I can't NDA myself or else I'll give myself a strike. Yeah, you know what? I will turn it into a poster. Oh, shit. I shouldn't have said
that. Oh, no. Tom just NDA'd himself, guys.
Ah, shit.
How funny. This is so funny.
An NDA? Well, I just DA'd. I DA'd all over the NDA. And now it's a DDA.
A DDA.
Do disclose everything.
Double D's.
Double D's. I love
the poncho. So.
Oh yeah, I like this image because I've always believed that between our world and some world that's adjacent to ours, our world in the spirit world, our world in the afterlife, our world
right, crossing
in this case,
the bridge.
Yeah, there's always like a connecting that where you're leaving our world, you're going into that world, and for me, it's Brawley Bridge. This is the bridge between the world that Bane knows and the world that he doesn't know anything about.
I love the way the blood seeps over the field, and it makes the image so much, ominous.
I love, and this is all Christian, the fact that so many times when you see Bane, his eyes are in shadow.
Right.
Not every time, but so many times when you see Bane, his eyes are in shadow, and I think that's such an effective touch.
It's interesting how sometimes it's not about what you see, but about what you don't see.
Right.
There's something about where
that's why the monkey's paw is one of the best horror stories of all time, isn't it?
Yeah, because it leaves a lot to the imagination.
Right. 100%.
And he does that too. I love that vampire in the back where you just vaguely see him.
Yeah.
Oh man, watching them their faces. No, it's just
all hell has just broken loose.
And it's really interesting too, because I mean, how many times has this happened to us where you go somewhere like maybe a new job, or you move to a new neighborhood, and then you realize it's not the way you thought it was,
right?
You know, and it is like there's these vampires lurking everywhere, and they're out to get your blood. You know, they want to eat your flesh. It's kind of crazy.
And you're very aware of the fact that they all know each other, and none of them know you.
Right.
You know.
Fresh meat.
That's it.
Yeah, this is a really, really, really good shot.
Oh yeah,
a really cool perspective. I almost feel like the gun ricocheting back.
Yeah.
So sick.
And Vaughn does a great job of wedding the imagery to the music. How at just the right point we break off the pieces from Christian's Interiors and we just scroll across, you know, Graham's barren landscape for that cover. And then right as that chord hits, that title just appears, and that title is so big the way it crawls up from the bottom.
Yes. Let me play that part. It really, you know, harkens back to a lot of these old spaghetti westerns too, where you feel like you're just alone, you know, like surrounded, and it's like, yeah, can we win? I mean, to me, I feel like I know what the ending is, but maybe I don't. Yeah, it's just like kind of overwhelming. But,
well, and you know, that's the thing about particularly like the Sergio Leone westerns. It's a barren landscape where you are inventing everything. You're inventing society, you're inventing law, you're inventing the relations between men and women, you're inventing the relations between men and men. You know, like horse theft, you know, was a capital offense, which seems weird by today's standards. Then you realize you took a man's horse, you essentially killed him.
Right.
You know, and on that landscape, just like a post-apocalyptic landscape, you can that canvas is so friggin' broad and so friggin' empty. You can paint any picture on that. You know, you can paint a romance, you can paint a betrayal story, you can paint a heist film, or in this case, you can paint a vampire. You can paint anything on a Western canvas.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting because I haven't really seen a lot of Western comic books like coming from the mainstream. But then, like, you know, Mike Barron with Bronze Star, it seems like to be something that is kind of popping up more in the indie scene, which is fascinating.
Yeah, you got Mike, you got Aaron with
Aaron. Yep.
So yeah, it's making a comeback. I mean, you know, I feel like I'm like betraying the Western because as soon as I introduce it, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge as quick as I can and going to France. So, you know, but I do have a deep appreciation for the Western.
What year does this take place in?
1870.
Okay, so this is about 40 years before the next one. So
correct.
Okay. Is this? Yeah, I guess I was going to ask a question, but I guess I'll kind of we'll realize more as we read the book. I was going to try and see, like,
I'll tell you what, ask the question. I don't guarantee answers, but I do guarantee responses.
Okay, that's fair. So, like, are the vampires here connected to the ones in Europe in some way? Like, is there some type of communication or something, or do they have a similar mission? Maybe
it's a more direct link than that.
Okay,
much more direct link than that.
Interesting. And how do you kill vampires in this book?
All the traditional ways: stake, wood through the heart. Running water was something I toyed with. Running water is something that you don't see much in vampire movies. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought that didn't work. So steaks, sunlight, holy water. There's nothing where I'm really breaking new ground lore-wise here.
Right.
And the nice thing about vampires is, because one thing that I find, it kind of slows a book up for me is when you get that lore dump, maybe in the beginning of the book, or maybe even worse, they'll stop the action to give us like 4 pages of exposition. Mm-hmm. I can't stand lore dumps, and so one of the things that was attractive about this to me is I don't need to dump anymore. Everyone knows what a vampire is, except my guy.
Which I think actually kind of adds to the feeling of him being alone. It's not even the readers,
right, and that's one thing that I do play with heavily in this book, is the idea that we as the reader know a lot of shit that he doesn't know, including something he doesn't know at the end. Like you're going to walk away knowing something that he never finds out.
Wow.
Until, maybe the story is revisited. But in this book, there's something very crucial that he walks away not knowing.
That the sun kills vampires, I'm guessing.
That's it. He was like, why did any of you motherfuckers tell me the whole time we're fighting? Why did any of you tell me that this is why you only go out at night? Is because now that I'm burning up, thanks so much. Big help, you guys.
Crazy. So does he fall on top of a horse at some point?
He does
not.
Like
from the sky?
There is no iconic scene like that.
Okay, I was kind of hoping he would fall onto a horse.
No.
And then they make it into like live action,
I've trained my body to do a lot of things, but unfortunately, flying like a bat, I can't finish it. Ain't one of them.
Yeah.
I started off strong, and then I totally petered out.
Yeah. It was close. And A. Riley in it says, hey, I'll shut up if the chat resumes. And he also said, I can't think of what leeching vampires would equate to in the modern world. Neither can I. I don't know. That was just a question because, nowadays, like with Dungeons and Dragons, people always say that the orcs are like some type of ethnicity, that the goblins from Harry Potter are. It's kind of so confusing.
Yeah.
I, for me, I'm like, where's that coming from? But, I just had to ask because.
Well, I have to say that when I watched Lucas's, what is it, The Phantom Menace and the Trade Federation, I got a distinctly Asian vibe from those guys.
Oh yeah, from the big-eyed guys.
We do not wish to disrupt the Senate.
Yeah. I think just because like that's a movie I've seen a lot. I never really, like when you're a kid, you don't really think of it that way. But
right,
yeah, it does kind of like as you get older, you're like, okay, yeah, I can see that a bit. But yeah, a lot of people were really upset too with Jar Jar. They were saying Jar Jar.
Yeah, Jar Jar was in many ways like a caricature stereotype from like a 20s or a 30s movie. Like in Gone with the Wind, I don't know nothing about birth and no babies.
What did you think of the Phantom Menace, by the way, when it came out? I mean, assuming you were a Star Wars fan, which I guess.
Yeah. Well, ironically, this is gonna probably get everybody pissed off at me. I'm not a super big fan of the franchise. I saw the first movies when I was a kid, like everyone else did. I think Star Wars is a good movie. I think Empire Strikes Back is a great movie. I thought, now remember, when I'm a kid, I love all this shit because I'm a kid. But going back and looking at them now, I find Return of the Jedi to be a very uneven movie. It starts off strong with the raid on Jabba's palace, and
I'm just kidding. Sorry,
but I hate the Ewok stuff.
Yeah.
I hate the Ewok stuff. I hate the fact that you got Han Solo who was, by the way, supposed to fly the Millennium Falcon. Harrison Ford has been trying to kill Han Solo over and over in the series. He wanted Han to die in Return of the Jedi, but it went to Lando. So Han Solo really has nothing to do for the last 45 minutes of the movie but stand at a door. Hey, you gonna get that door unlocked anytime soon? Working on it.
Yeah, I see it. I see what you mean.
But
I mean, Last Jedi wasn't really. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't written super well, in a lot of parts. But I enjoyed it. I watch it a lot. Probably a few times a year. So
I liked the sequel trilogy in one respect, that I thought the prequel trilogy looked very wooden. You could tell that everyone was standing in front of a green screen. You could tell that nothing you were seeing it didn't feel real. It didn't feel dirty. It didn't feel grimy. And when that commercial for Force Awakens came out, and what was it? The Millennium Falcon was flying through the hull of a crashed destroyer. I was like, fuck, this does look real,
I really liked Rogue One. I
got a buddy who loves Rogue One.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember I saw it a few times after it came out. I was like, man, this is good. But other than that, I haven't really been a super huge fan of the Disney stuff.
Yeah.
But let's see, what was I going to ask? Okay, so before we get everybody to leave this live stream out of hatred and justified anger against you,
that motherfucking Tuttle doesn't like Return of the. This guy.
Just kidding. Okay, I won't pull you out anymore. Okay. So it's a truce.
All right.
But, let's see, what was I going to ask? When do you? Oh yeah, so you said you're just waiting on Eric Weathers, right? Before you.
Yeah, as soon as I get, I got to send him a text at some point and see how we're doing. Because I want to say it's been about 2 or 3 weeks, so I just want to check in on him. But I mean, obviously Eric is the resource of all resources. He's a jack of all trades. He can do everything. I mean, he turns water into wine, man.
No, it's incredible, and I didn't really. Well, I think that part of the problem is nowadays a lot of people don't think that there is any value in lettering, and they just kind of.
Oh my gosh, there totally is, and because it's not just the transcription of the words, it's placing balloons in such a way that doesn't break up the narrative flow, but also doesn't cover up something that is crucial to the reader's understanding, while at the same time dealing with jerks like me who get diarrhea of the mouth and want to write these paragraph-long word balloons.
Going off of that, do you think that there's anything you'll do differently with how you write the sequel than compared to how you wrote this one?
So far, no. So far, like my if you want to call it, my writing method is still the same. Mm-hmm. I mean, to the extent there's a difference, the difference will mostly be in the stuff that comes after the writing, because I didn't know shit with 7 Amens. I said to myself, you know what? This is what being in the community is all about. If I don't know the answer to something, I'll reach out, to somebody. And I reached out to Vaughn, and I reached out to Narwhal, and I reached out to Luke. And I just, I had questions for all of them. This time around will be different in the sense that I'm sort of like walking on my footsteps from last time. So, unlike last time, I've got, the art team lined up before I even finish the script, so that part will be different. So far the writing, it's more or less been my my MO. It's the same modus operandi as last time was.
Right. So real quick, I have to address this. I don't know if you know this guy, Jabba, the ender of streams. He used to be Jabba the Cuck.
Okay.
He's guilty of actually human trafficking. Do you know who? Do you know who the Quaff is?
I do know the Quaff.
Yeah, he actually had the Quaff locked up in his basement for the better half of a year.
That seems very on brand.
Yeah, and he was basically forcing him to draw a book without paying him anything. I think he was just feeding him Little Caesars, like every other day.
Like not even bad. Good pizza, Little Caesars.
Yeah, exactly. It was really bad. That was actually like the worst part of, like, the worst aspect of the human rights violation. But
I can see going in the guy's basement and being like a writer for hire, but like for some really good Detroit pizza.
Yes, yeah, they'd be like, okay, it is what it is. Yeah. And the other thing is he keeps doxing me because he knows, who I am.
What?
Yeah, he'll just say it in the chat. So I have to pretend it's not me, but he'll say my name. He knows my name is Nasser.
So wait, so he really does think this is the worst live stream of all time?
Yeah, he's like my enemy. And then he's saying he was just feeding the Quaff rice balls, but the Quaff told me he was giving him like hairballs. So
oh shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, and then here we have Periopsis Press. She says, "Evening all. I'm friends with her."
Ma'am?
Yeah, her husband, David. He'll come on the show sometimes. So he's a cool
Gotcha.
guy. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, where were we at? You were telling me.
I was saying how my method for writing is the same, but I expect that the postscript process will be very different. Just because I'm not as I'm not suggesting I know everything or even that I know a lot, but I'm not as clueless as I was last time.
Right. Yeah, and there's a difference too between writing prose and writing a comic book, which is largely visual, and yeah, you usually have to make things a little shorter. Do you think you're going to have like less dialogue here than maybe you did in the first book for the sequel?
I think that, and I think it's a danger too, is that I'm going to be more wordy in the second book, because in the first book, it's the West. Everyone's pretty stoic. Everybody uses language very functionally. Just it's a method to communicate an immediate need or an immediate displeasure. It's not as flowery as, say, British soldiers in 1918 would be. Because the second book is kind of in form. It's kind of like an episode of a Ken Burns Civil War documentary, because it starts off with my hero writing a letter home to his father, saying, "Father, I don't expect to ever see you again, and I'm sorry for how we left things." And it's going to be a little bit more florid, a little bit more lavish with the language than I was in the first one.
And will the second book kind of tie into any of the characters from the first, or is it just the same world?
JJ, that would be telling.
Okay, that's fair. I kind of secretly think of ways to ask for like information that maybe interview. A lot of times it goes over their heads, and then afterwards they'll be like, "Oh crap, I shouldn't have said that." Which
just
is kind
remember,
of
JJ, vampires have long lifespans.
Yeah. That was what I was wondering, actually.
Oh.
Okay, that's a good answer. Okay, so let's see. Do you plan? I guess, have you always kind of wanted to publish something that you've written, or is that something that just kind of happened? Or
I think there's something in everyone. I don't even think it's limited to necessarily creatively minded people, but everyone wants to create something. Create something that will live past you. And for a lot of us, that's our children. You by having a child, you've fulfilled your Darwinian imperative. You have replaced yourself on the planet. You've created something that will live past you.
Right.
And I also think that comes out, obviously with creatively minded people, that you want to make something. You may not know what it is. It may be a movie. It may be a comic book. It may be a song. You want to create something that first, to a certain extent, puts you on the map and lets people who don't know you know who you are. But secondly, it's something that lives past you. It's a slice, maybe a thin slice, but a slice of immortality.
No, that makes sense. I actually remember talking to this guy once who he was gay, and it was kind of interesting because he was telling me because he puts a lot of time into his work, like way more time than I. Like I just kind of, as soon as I go, I just want to clock out and leave, But he was like, I was like, why do you put so much time into it? And he was like, well, I just want like a piece of me to live on forever. I was like, oh, interesting. So I kind of realized, yeah, it was that urge you have of trying to kind of remain on the earth after you go.
Yeah. And right now, you know, if the earth opened up and swallowed me tomorrow, the only immortality I have is right now my son's name may or may not or may be carved on the back of the picket fence at Dealey Plaza. You know, in Dallas where JFK got shot. Well, and the story there is I got thrown out of the Texas School Book Depository, right? Because I brought Four Locos in. And as they're throwing me out, I'm getting very indignant. First, I actually said these words. The guard tells me, hey, you know, you can't have Four Locos in here. And I sniffed very indignantly and said, this is hardly the worst thing anyone's ever brought in this building, sir. But I was like, you know, if you can't bring Four Locos in the Texas School Book Depository, they got to put a sign up that says no Four Locos, right? So I got mad. So everybody else is still in the depository. Ethan's in there. Billy Tucci's in there. I got thrown out, right? So I'm sitting on the grassy knoll, and I'm just stewing. I'm getting more and more mad by the second. And I walk back to the picket fence, and the picket fence is like a graffiti artist's paradise. I mean, everybody's written on the back of there. So I don't want to give anyone the impression that I, defiled something that was pristine. But I had my pocket knife, and I carved my son's name into the back of the fence, being careful not to use his last name so he couldn't get in trouble.
Gotcha. Good thing you're not saying this on a place where it's recorded, right?
Well, I might be telling a fantasy story right now. This might all be like, a delusion true. Out of my 56-year-old, dementia-ridden brain.
Well, I just kind of assumed that everything people say online is true.
Oh, no, you got to go the opposite direction. Assume that everything everyone says is a lie.
Oh, man.
JJ, DTA. Don't trust anybody.
Wow. Yep. And here I was thinking that the Nigerian prince was needing my help.
Oh boy, don't even get me started on that guy. My father practically lost money to that guy.
Oh no. That's horrible.
Yeah, I know. He comes out and says, "Hey, I've got to send a laptop to some girl that I went to college with." And I'm like, "Why is some college alumni reaching out to you for the sole purpose of you buying her a laptop?"
Oh no.
Yeah.
They just, whenever you're doing anything involving sales, you're trying to like find a connection to someone's life, but then it becomes predatory. Like there are these vampires where they're sort of trying to feign, being someone that cares about you, and then they lure you in and suck your blood out.
Well, and like how many women did you go to college with who were like really like 65-year-old guys from Thailand?
Yeah.
I mean, didn't it feel weird? Didn't it at all strike you weird that the address that you're supposed to mail this laptop to was in Thailand? Didn't that spark any red flags with you, Dad? When he tells the story now, I never fell for it for a second. I stopped you with the laptop.
There's like, it's so funny too, like with AI, because there's just the most absurd videos that people are making. And some people just think they're real. They're like, whoa, like, how's this happening? But there is like an aspect to it too, where you can make a video that does look pretty close to real. And that is kind of scary. So
there are these reels on Facebook now, and God help us all, my father's on Facebook. And there are these reels that are complete AI images, and it's some woman in her 30s, or it's a whole bunch of women videos, but it's all like women in their 30s saying vaguely suggestive things to the world, like, if you wish this single mom a good morning, I'll wish you a good morning back. After that, who knows? And like, it's clearly AI, and there's my father commenting on, "Good morning, sweetheart." Oh, for fuck's sake, Dad.
Right. That's so funny.
Yeah.
No, I always crack up with Mike Barron's posts. I don't know if you see him ever making these. Sometimes I'm like, Mike, someone needs to take your computer away. He'll just be like, he'll post a photo of someone like that, and he'll be like, look at who just followed me. And I know he's making fun of it,
yeah.
But it's just funny to see. I'm like, oh man, yeah. Like he did one the other day where he's like, Sydney Sweeney's following me. She only has 13 followers, so
yeah, exactly.
Not account. But it's just kind of funny. It's funny seeing like an old guy, talk about that kind of stuff.
The funniest thing I ever saw, and I'm telling this story with love. I'm not making fun of this guy.
Yeah.
My great-grandfather, who himself was a World War I vet. He lied about his age and went over to fight the Kaiser at the age of 14.
Wow.
And my great-grandfather was in a tank at like the age of 15, maybe 16, and someone threw one of those, what do you call them? Not pineapple grenades, but the ones with a handle. Someone threw one of those in, and everybody in the tank except my great-grandfather died. And my great-grandfather lived because he was, behind the guy who shielded him from the blast. So where I'm going with this is a tough kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
In his later years, he became absolutely enamored with that old 80s show, The Beauty and the Beast, with Linda Hamilton and that weird-looking guy who plays Hellboy.
Ron Perlman?
That's it. Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman. My great-grandfather was as smitten with that show as a housewife with her daytime stories. And my great-grandfather, the tough guy who went to fight the Germans at the age of 14, would explain to me how tragic it was that the Beauty and the Beast could never be together because hers was the world of society and civilization, and his was the world of the dark and the sewers, and they could never be together. And I'm like, I think my great-grandfather's going to cry. I think he's going to tear up telling me this story. I have no idea how to react if that happens.
It's pretty crazy because sometimes you think like after someone's experienced certain hard things that they won't enjoy kind of sometimes like tacky entertainment, but yeah, it's not really the case.
Know.
Yeah,
you never know.
Still speak to them. Have you shown your comic book to anybody in your family by any chance?
My sister and her clan have seen it. I mentioned it to my father once, but he immediately went back to what he wanted to talk about, and so I took that as about as much input as I was going to get from him. But my sister and her clan have seen it.
What did they say about it? Were they?
They're jazzed. I mean, they're not exactly in the world that we're in, right?
Sure.
So, like, in this world, in our sphere, saying like, "Hey guys, I made a comic." That's like an accomplishment. It's an achievement. Whereas, you know how normies feel about comic books.
Yeah, kind of. They'll be like, kind of.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
At the age of 56, you made a comic book. Good for you, bro.
Well, I thought you were young. You're just starting out.
There you go. I'm a young. What is that Eric called himself? I'm a young creative.
Yeah, you're a young creative.
By the way, did Eric coin creative as the noun? Because I'm seeing a lot of people doing it now, and I'm wondering if it pre-existed him. I never heard it before he said it.
I've heard it before. It's kind of like sort of like not kind of a bit of a bougie word, like
it seems to me like it's trying to take some of the command and the authority away from the word creator and make it so that it's just an employee. Yeah.
Well, I also feel like too, it's because when you look at like, for example, the film industry, maybe I didn't create the film, but I'm kind of helping with it. Like,
right. And I'm on the creative side of it. Right.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm a critic or something like that. So it's just kind of like, it's like the word stakeholder. I would compare it to that,
Right.
It could be like a stakeholder could be a stockholder, but it could also be used to be like a customer or something.
Right.
It's just kind of like one of those words that was created to sort of imply that someone maybe has ownership of something that they don't. That's kind of what I feel, at least.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, the origin of it was. But I have heard it before him. I'm trying to think of something that he has coined. I mean, it is what it is. It is.
It is.
Yeah. I've seen that being said a lot nowadays. Or what else? Like it was kind of funny watching. I don't know if you remember when Riley's lawyers went on the Dick Show.
Oh, I love that episode.
Yeah, so good.
I love that episode.
Well,
I was so glad to see them do it, because up till then, I'd been the guy telling the Ripitards, no, he's going to have to testify. You can't make out that the guy was trespassing without establishing that the owner or the proprietor of the property, did not invite him on the property.
Right.
Now, in this case, it was ridiculous because, where Riley was public. But even if we accept, prima facie Eric's case, the owner's got to testify. So this whole idea, he doesn't have to testify. They can just take the police statement. Well, if they could take the police statement, then you wouldn't need trials.
Right.
One question I do have is, you were making this prediction for a while now that on October 29th, it would be the end.
Well, I want to be clear what I said. I said that the bottom would drop out on October 29th, and we don't know that didn't happen.
So what would qualify as a bottom dropping out? Just that, like, there's no turning back?
I would say there's no turning back, and I would say it would be a causal event that a year from now, when we look, oh man, what happened? How did everything fold so quickly? We'd be able to trace it to an event that happened on the 29th.
I see.
So we may not know whether my vision came true for some time.
That's fair. Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, I actually, you know what I noticed a big change with Eric was October of 2024, because it was an election year, which is an amazing time to make a lot.
He really covered himself in glory for that election, didn't he?
Yeah, and he just didn't really make much content. I mean, he made that video about like he'd rather take a deuce in a voting booth, but he like disappeared for the entire month of October, November, and September, which was crazy.
I think that was because of the trial. Because remember, right after it became clear there was going to be no trial, that's when Eric put out that long explanation video explaining why he did what he did. Not because I was afraid of Riley, you understand, but because as an employer, I have to take threats to my facility very seriously because my employees' health and safety is at stake.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably he was under advice of counsel.
Not to make
make any comments about the trial, and probably because they'd seen the stream where he inadvertently confessed to fraud with Nick Recato. They probably told him, just to be on the safe side, don't go on the air, period. Because Eric's got diarrhea of the mouth. Eric can't help what he says, and here's Nick telling him, please don't say anymore. Please don't say anymore. Doing everything but cutting Eric's mic off. It's like, no. I want to be clear. And that's because Eric's ego won't let him believe that he's not the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
Because he's been told that his whole life.
Well, especially, I think that's something I realized is if you do have the plans of building like some type of big indie publishing space, one big thing I learned is don't try and get millions and millions of subs and then make, your move, because you're just going to be surrounded by sycophants and, they aren't going to really know about the thing you're publishing.
Oh, yeah.
So you should try and kind of build up your drawing or your writing or whatever it is that you're doing from the beginning.
Let me just tell you, I'm not a business owner or anything like that. I'm just a writer. But early on in the process, I bounced the script off people. I bounced it off Narwhal. I bounced it off my family. I bounced it off. I'm blanking on who the other person was, but I'd get notes back, and those notes are not meant to be disrespecting you. I mean, Dick's notes might have been meant to be disrespectful, but the notes are gold because it's, even if it's coming from someone that doesn't like you, the notes, you're going to read that note and you're going to say to yourself, shit, that makes sense. Or you're going to say, oh, this is bullshit. But you got to do it on a note by note basis because, like, what do they say? Even a cat may look at a king. I mean, even your worst enemy may spot something where you fucked up in the narrative, where you didn't make something clear. And that happened to me a half dozen times. There's one caption that I called up Eric and said, hey, I need you to stick this in there. Why? Because there's a very fundamental plot point that I didn't make clear in the text. I knew it because I knew the story.
Right.
And I think I assumed that everyone else would kind of like make that jump. And I was like, you've got to not spell it out. That's the wrong, but you've got to give them the information they need to get to where you are.
So what you're saying is you think your audience is dumb and you have to hold their hand.
You got to hold their hand, man.
Yeah, that's your style of writing.
And if you release information cards, those cards should contain zero information.
Right.
Like the document cards?
Exactly. It should just say, I am a person.
Right.
My
That's all
origin is unknown. My powers are not yet visible. It's like,
I have a theory, and this goes back to what I was just saying about Eric's not putting out content.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eric, it is just a theory. I don't know. I have no way of knowing if I'm right, but I think Eric was deposed once, probably in the ISOM, the church case. And I think Eric did the same thing in the deposition that he did on Nick's show, which he had diarrhea of the mouth, and he gave the attorneys more, because a deposition is not where you get the opportunity to vindicate yourself. A deposition is nothing more than opposing counsel trying to get information from you that they can then use against you at trial. So your job, if you're being deposed, you have to answer truthfully, but you don't volunteer anything. And knowing the Eric we saw on Nick Rekieta's show, Eric would have been completely incapable of not seeing the deposition as a place to vindicate himself. And I think his lawyers yelled at him, and I think it's informed every piece of his life after that he has this thing in his head, don't give any more information than you absolutely need to.
Right.
Because that was his theory behind shouldn't have to hold your hand. That was his theory behind the document cards. That's been his theory in being so stingy with information that the audience should be getting, in the first 5 pages. What are this guy's powers? What can he do? You don't have to know the origin, but you have to know his powers, because you have to know if a situation that he's in is a threat to him or not.
Right. It's like, and it's laughable, like the way that he, just acts so anal about like random things that aren't important, which also just shows his lack of understanding of storytelling. But right here, Ghostgoo 1892 said, Dick's notes were really helpful, even if he's not on Eric's side. He was 100% trying to nudge him in the right direction without going too hard. And then A. Riley Innit was talking about what you had just mentioned with his a potential of him going to deposition, and he said it was being verbally lynched. So, have you seen that clip when Anna, that Star Wars girl, was on Flashcast?
And she asked, what kind of fucking accent is that? I never heard of that.
Yes.
Oh, he was so wounded by that.
Is it okay if I pull that up real quick?
Oh, yeah, man.
I love that clip so much. It's so funny. It's actually probably one of my favorite pieces from this whole saga, actually, because I think it really does speak so much to his writing style, in quotes. So.
Oh, she did plenty. She's worked with all the guys, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse. She's done all that shit. So
she asks, she's like, did Deborah Carita ever actually draw a comic book before? Which is like so savage. Oh man. Anyway,
Anna goes for the jugular, man.
I know, and she's like so kind the way she goes about it too. Like you can't be upset with her, but like, yeah, you could smell the blood in the water. You could see it.
Oh yeah.
Just a sec. What's going on?
I'm on record saying I think this is her best work ever. Like straight up. Like as far as
Did
Deborah.
you do comic art before?
That may sound like a benign question, but think about the implications. Ripper then.
Yeah. Okay, let me go back here. Actually,
that's the equivalent of that question from Office Space. What would you say it is you do here?
Yeah, exactly. What's your purpose? Like, why do you exist? Yeah.
Worked on other comics before.
Oh, she did plenty. She's worked with all the guys, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse. She's done all that shit. So she really stepped it up. This is her best work to me from everything that she's done. That's me. You guys get to see it. You can make your own decision on that, but I think you guys are gonna really love it.
And how did Anna respond? Just look at that devious grin.
Okay.
Now this is where we get to the juicy part. When Anna asks about Yaira's accent.
By the way, Eric, congratulations.
Oh, appreciate you. Thank you. Appreciate you, Anna.
Yeah, what is it at now?
1.2 million.
Woo.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Okay, can I ask what kind of accent was she supposed to be doing?
She's oh man, I'm not gonna give it all the way in late. Let's just say Slavic. Let's just go with that. If you follow my Twitter, someone guessed it right, and I actually confirmed it. I shouldn't have done that. That was NDA to myself, but yeah.
So stupid.
On so many levels.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I say. He doesn't want to. I mean, what difference could it make to say, "Oh, she's from Norway"?
Right.
What difference could that possibly make? But he believes that if he gives away any piece of information about anything, in the legal realm, the business realm, the creative realm, anything, that he's leaving himself open for an attack. And so instead, he does this word salad, do-si-do, that is so much clumsier than a short answer would have been.
And the funny thing is, too, Tom, is Icelandic is not a Slavic accent at all, and it sounds very, very different. Like, I don't know if you've ever met someone from Iceland, but it's a Germanic language. Like, they sound like someone from South Africa or something.
My only experience with an Icelandic accent would be, what's her name? June Gudmundsdottir from The Player, the blonde that Greta Scacchi played.
Yeah.
But I don't think she had an accent. I know she had an accent when she said her name, Gudmundsdottir, but I don't think she had an accent in the rest of the movie.
Yeah. So it's just kind of funny to hear, like, because I kind of wonder if he got ripped off by like a language coach. I don't know, like, because apparently.
Oh, that's funny. She was taught to talk like that.
Yes, like he actually hired. Let me play it.
That's funny.
Sue yourself then.
Sue myself. Yeah. Sue myself.
Raging Rhino asked.
Oh no, maybe he doesn't say it in this portion. Let me go forward a bit.
First time trying to do that accent because I had such a hard time understanding her.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. She had we had a coach with her and everything. So that wasn't the first time that she had done it.
Eric refused.
Yeah, she had a coach like making her talk that way, which is like,
oh man. And I guess that begs the question, like, what language does the coach speak? I mean, does the language, or does the coach speak like, I don't know, 19th century Viking or something?
Right. Exactly. Well, and that's a good question, is because like did he just go, oh, all them white bread ass Negroes, they all speak the same, it's like no, Eric, that's not how it works.
Accents are tough. I was my freshman year, I was in a play where I had to do a brogue, an Irish brogue, and man, I mean, I could do a British accent just from watching Monty Python, but I couldn't do an Irish. And I remember they had to bring someone in. It wasn't like an expert, it was just someone who had an Irish accent.
Yeah,
and work hard with me. And I kept. I mean, the best I could do was try to like do my imitation of the Lucky Charms guy. Blue hearts and purple horseshoes.
Oh man, that's pretty great. Yeah, I always get a laugh like listening to Mark Miller's
oh yeah,
because like sometimes I'll just be listening to it and it's funny to me, even though he's not saying anything funny.
I like Mark Miller because he's such a great writer, but he also, and I adhere to this a lot myself, to the brevity is the soul of wit. To say more with less, because you read a Mark Miller book, they're not wordy. He says he manages to say, there's a very short, impactful nature to his dialogue. I'm a big fan of Raymond Carver, who is an American short story writer, and he mastered the art of the 2-page short story. His stories are very short, but you get all the info you need for this story to have an impact on you. He's very much a say more with less.
I don't know if I've read anything of Raymond's, but I'll give him a, I'll look up.
I'll tell you a great intro to Carver. And it's a terrible info to Carver because you can't find it, but it's a great info to Carver. Robert Altman in 1992 did a movie called Shortcuts, 3 hours long. It more or less intertwines about 19 different Carver stories.
Wow.
And they're all intertwined, and characters from one are intersecting with characters from the other. It is a phenomenal movie, but I don't know whether there's a rights problem or what, but you can't find it. It came out in theaters in 1993. I saw it in Baltimore, but you can't find it now to save your life. Not even on the darkest of the dark webs.
Gotcha. I'll see if I can find it. What did you say his name was? Raymond Carver?
The author's name is Raymond Carver. The movie is called Shortcuts. Right now I'm in the middle of a collection of his stories called Where I'm Calling From. So good stuff. I mean, the nice thing about a Carver story is you can actually read one at a red light.
Wow.
That's how short they are.
That's crazy.
Did you ever see that thing? It was a meme, not a meme in the sense of a picture, but it was a kind of a countrywide viral thing a couple years ago, well, 10 years ago, where it was tell a completely effective horror story in 2 sentences.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
It was a lot like that, and you got some real nuggets of gold in that competition because when you've got to tell a story and evoke a mood in 2 sentences, you got to bring your A game, and a lot of A game having guys went out. There were some stories that were like getting punched in the face.
Wow.
I
when I was a kid, once my teacher asked me to write a scary story. And then we had to present it in front of the class.
Right.
So I made mine about the serial killer. And then at the end, basically the twist was it was just a kid playing his video games who turns off his Xbox and then he goes downstairs. Not that would be a fun video game, but I just, I was a kid. So it was my best attempt to make a twist. But she was shaking and she was like, I almost called the counselor on you. I was like, well, you asked me to write something scary. So I did.
I wrote something that may or may not get repurposed in years to come. Mm-hmm. My sister worked for some local penny saver right after we got out of school. And her boss was telling her we need content, right? So she was like, my brother's a writer. So she came to me and said, hey, this guy needs 2 pages by tomorrow. And so I thought it was going to kind of be like like Dickens in the old days when these guys, their novels, their first life to their novels was as part of a periodical magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that's what I would be. And so I turned in the first chapter to this just horrific tale of murder and lust and blood and gore and just horrific type shit. And I gave it to my sister, and she came back. I remember she came back white as a ghost, her eyes white as saucers, her mouth open. She goes, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I go, "What do you mean?" She's like, "He was looking for articles on the leaves changing color or the foliage. You turned in this. I turned in something that made the Terrifier look tame. What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Well, I mean,
so I didn't get the job.
Darn.
But the idea stayed, and like I say, you may see the idea in about a year and a half.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see how that's gonna end up bubbling back into your work. So speaking actually about Mark Miller, you talked a little bit about Per Berg. Did you read Vatican City?
I did not, and that's only a comment on my complete lack of any time these days, because I really do want to read it, and it's on my list to snag, but I have not read it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, some people didn't like it. I thought it was good.
How many issues was it?
3, I think.
3. Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to check.
So I could knock it off in the evening. I do want to. It's been on my list for some time.
Yeah. No, it's I feel like the end is a little contrived, but it was good. I don't know if you've been following any of his new stuff. Did you ever read Huck by any chance?
Yeah.
Yeah, Huck is so funny.
I love it. I went through a period there where I tried to read everything and get totally caught up, because I had heard that Big Game was going to be like all of his stories put together. And so I didn't want to be reading Big Game and not know who somebody was.
Right. Got it. Yeah, no, Huck is he actually did a Huck sequel, Huck Big World, which is kind of expounding on it a bit, but Huck's Forrest Gump meets Superman. Yeah. Forrest Gump meets Superman. It's a very fascinating, because he is really strong and kind of overpowered, but it's kind of interesting because in some ways he's really dumb, but he's still got the same pure heart that Superman has. So it's just a super.
And I believe, and I have nothing to back this up with, but I believe that, especially in this day, in 2025, there's a hunger out there for goodness and for a character who's just, as you say, pure of heart and good.
Right.
Because, look how positively everyone responded, except for those zeros, to the Superman movie. Right. And when people talk about the Superman movie, what's the scene that everyone always comes back to first? Superman saving the squirrel.
Yeah.
We're so jaded as a culture. We're so cynical. We don't, I just told you, don't trust anybody. We don't trust anybody. And the idea of someone like Superman, like Huck, who, even as a fictional character, you can 100% trust. 100% trust his motives, 100% trust his heart,
And do you remember the part when there was that Middle Eastern guy, when he was recording Superman, and he's you get free falafels, at my truck or whatever. And then at the end, when that guy dies, it was kind of gut wrenching, because you're oh man, because even he was kind of trying to follow Superman's ideals, and it's just it was heartbreaking. So,
but you know what? The call for us to be good, or the call for us to be better, exists irrespective of what other people do. That kind of came up a couple days ago when we had that big child support debate on Twitter after Anna's remark. There's that we spent 3 days arguing. Should men not have an obligation to pay support? If they believe the woman's not using it for the kid. And my answer then is the same thing as my answer now. Your obligation exists irrespective of what she does with her obligation.
Yeah.
And same thing with Superman and Huck. Your obligation to be good. Even though that falafel guy, he lost his life to cruelty and violence and meaninglessness, that doesn't mean that the inspiration Superman was to him was without meaning.
Right.
I don't know. I
just put that. No, it's good. I'm just thinking about it. Yeah, it's that movie really stuck with me, and I wish I would have been able to have seen it a second time, but I had a lot of stuff pop up in my life around when the movie came out.
Oh, sure. So, well, it's streaming now. You can watch it now.
Yeah, that's true. it's always cool to see stuff in the theater, though.
I agree.
But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen. Like, do you think, John Malin was kind of floating the theory about like Brainiac. Do you think that that's what happened? That was kind of my understanding of it when I was watching it, that like the message of his parents was altered.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know that it's fatal, even if it wasn't, because, the idea of Jor-El not being 100% altruistic, it's not a new idea. I mean, the most recent iteration that we've got in the whatever it was, right around the time of Doomsday Clock, when Jor-El came back and kidnapped John and more or less raised him, like that Jor-El was a dick, And in Burns' Man of Steel, there's a reference to, will he go to this planet to conquer it and make it his? Right. So, I mean, there's no reason to think that the people on Krypton were saints. They might have been good people, but you still want your culture to survive and, propagate. So I don't know that it's necessarily, I mean, it's an anti-Earth statement, but I don't know that it's an evil statement.
Yeah.
But
there were some people who were freaking out because they thought that the movie was like anti-Semitic because of that.
Oh yeah, no.
I was like, what's going on? I was like, where are you guys? There's like some people where they'll like just put in like these messages into everything. I'm like, where is that coming from? I think.
Well, I mean, there's clearly a Jesus element to the Superman myth, but I always thought that the Moses comparison was stronger than the Jesus comparison.
Right. Which makes sense considering that the people who created Superman were, Jewish. And I agree with you, because it's like little Moses floating in the basket.
Right. And then found and raised.
Right. And then he's just kind of sent to Earth to sort of lead them and guide them to a better plane.
They can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I actually kind of feel like Cyberfrog and Salamandroid are sort of like a Moses and Joshua.
There's a similarity there. The Pierdani kind of being the Kryptonians. Only in the case of Cyberfrog, well, I'll say the Pierdani were nobler in that they did look out for Earth, but in a broader geopolitical sense, it was because Earth would have been a big staging ground for the Vispas to attack Pierdani stronghold. So it was strategic as much as it was, altruistic.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, no, I just kind of like seeing that dynamic though. Like, cause he's despised. Everybody hates him, but he still kind of is trying to have like a positive attitude, even though he doesn't fit in. He's very clearly kind of a monster, but not.
Well, and Salamandroid is kind of like what I was saying with Superman and Huck. Salamandroid is a guy that Cyberfrog knows he can trust absolutely. Like, doubt is not part of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, he's got a very pure heart and he's almost childlike. Like, did you read Dark Harvest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the part where he's like, Cyberfrog's got like the stinger in him or whatever, and he's like he can't talk. And then Sal's just like, we can watch TV now.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on, Sal?
It can be like the old days, yeah.
It's like, do you have eyes? Like, are you blind? Like, do you understand what's going on here? That part was so funny.
I don't know. Maybe Sal doesn't fully understand.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, like he's just kind of like,
it looks like now, all I've read of that bridge is that other was a death sting. But it looks to me, from what I can glean, that once Sal went to, once the invasion happened, Sal more or less ended up with Scorpionra, and like, how much of the outside world has he seen?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's kind of I like the parts of seeing how he interacts with in Desting, his interactions with Scorpione too, because it's kind of like, little you and what's it called in that comic book shop when you're a kid,
Yeah.
And then this big scary guy like comes and then he takes you along, But no, that didn't happen.
They very much were like brothers.
Right.
You know, I mean, like both of them can kind of look and say, "There, but for the grace of whatever, go I."
Right. Do you think? What do you think is going to happen in the next issue?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. No, I don't even want to hazard a guess. I have no idea.
I tried guessing, but then Ethan made fun of me, so you know.
There you go. My only claim to fame with Cyberfrog is I think, and I don't know this because I don't know everyone who reached out to him, but I think I'm one of the first to spot the allegory. And I remember when I did, I was reading Blood Honey again. It wasn't the first time I'd read it. And the scene where he comes out of the Schuylkill and sees the vast, wasteland that is Vispus conquered Philadelphia. Like, in that moment, I said, this is sort of like Ethan, like, recognizing, if you went away in the 90s, recognizing, like, what's happened to my industry. Right. Now, I no longer necessarily think that Cyberfrog is a one-on-one stand-in for Ethan, but I do think that the conquering and the wasteland. It's like, look what they've made of your industry.
I think that a lot of times when the same way that when you're an artist and you're drawing something, you have to you'll reference things. It's kind of the similar thing. A lot of times there'll be certain potent emotions that you might have from a certain experience, and that'll go into creating like a scene or maybe like a string of events. But that's not necessarily the only meaning. I think a lot of times there might be like layers of.
Absolutely, things. Yeah. Like nothing is ever like a one-on-one thing. Right. I remember making the point that it was when Spike Lee's "Do the Right Thing" came out, right? Mm-hmm. Have you seen the movie?
Which movie did you say again?
Do the Right Thing?
No, I haven't.
It ends with, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it ends with an urban crowd in, I think it's New York, getting very angry along racial lines. Mm-hmm. And there's a pizza shop in the neighborhood, and the pizza owner and his two sons are like being surrounded by the crowd. And then Spike Lee's character throws a trash can through the window of the parlor, and then the crowd just starts tearing the parlor apart, right? Mm-hmm. And Spike Lee gave an interview where he said, a lot of people can't handle the fact that my main character is not heroic. And I disagreed, because I think he's very heroic, because in that moment, by throwing the trash can through the window, he directed the energy of the crowd away from physical violence to these three Italian guys, and he directed the violence towards their shop. With the stuff in the shop is replaceable. The three people are not. Right. And so I thought it was very heroic, and I made the argument at the time, because I got into an argument with someone over it, that a creator's interpretation of his work, while informative, is not dispositive, because the work only belongs to you while it's in your head. Once you publish it, you share it with the world, and everyone's going to interpret your work in a different way. And mm-hmm. your voice on what you meant by it, okay, that's illustrative, it's informative, but if this is what I took from your story, your version of your story or your interpretation of your story doesn't override mine.
Right. It's kind of like when you came up with the idea for your script, and then you hand it off, to the artist and the cover artist, and then eventually it gets to Eric. Each time, each person will change it to a certain degree. But then once it goes from Eric's hands into my hands, it's not going to mean the same thing it was. Even if you want me to interpret it a certain way, I won't.
I was going to say that you as the reader have a role in this process too. In fact, you have the final role as you're the one who says what it meant to you.
Right.
You know?
And that's just, and that's not, I remember, like with J.K. Rowling, I don't know if you ever read the Harry Potter books.
I've seen all the movies. I have not read any of the books.
Okay. Yeah. No problem. But there was a point like after she wrote all the books when she was just like, the Dumbledore, the main teacher, like the principal at the school, she was like, he's gay. And there was like, I was just like, okay, I mean, you can say it, but did it happen?
Well, and that's true too, is that as a reader, and this goes with what I was saying about you having the final and most important role, you have the power to disregard any part of the story that you don't like or that doesn't match your interpretation. Like maybe a better example would be in a film franchise. Like when they did Halloween H2O and said, okay, we're going to pretend that the 3rd through the 6th movie never happened. This is a direct sequel to the 2nd movie. Mm-hmm. And you have that power as a reader. Any part of the story you don't like, you can cheerfully just disregard that and not make it part of the story you read, the narrative you absorbed, the impact you felt.
Right. This kind of brings me up to that one. This is like one of the most debated scenes in TV. It's just kind of like, what did happen here? I better kind of skip it a bit because of the music.
Oh yeah, or just put it on silent or something.
Yeah. Let me put it on silent. Yep. And then it's just like, what happened? You know? I mean, I kind of always just assumed he died, but a lot of people.
I've always taken, and I think Ethan's, this is Ethan's version too, that it was a killer, comes out of the bathroom, which from Tony's perspective is, 9 o'clock, or was it because someone had a dream beware of 9 a.m. and then there's a members only link to, and that's the take I've always had, because like we saw, I saw The Running Man last night, and this guy gets shot in the back of the head from a guy he never sees. The end of The Sopranos is what that experience would be like for you. It just all of a sudden nothing.
Right. And it's really interesting too, because you can kind of sort of see him like losing control, in the last season, like bit by bit. And then he sort of like sees himself sitting in a place, like he can kind of see how the story is going to end, which I always thought was, kind of cool. But yeah, there's like a lot of debate about it. Some people are very, very certain he never got whacked, which is kind of, I don't know. To me, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I take it too. But as I say, that's our interpretation.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like one of the best examples of that did you see that video? It was making the rounds back in 2018. It was a 4-hour criticism of Twin Peaks by this guy who just went into every detail. I remember Malin saw it, and he accepted this guy's interpretation. And I think Ethan saw it, and he was like a little skeptical. But like my take is, it's not my interpretation, but man, has this guy thought his theory out and done all the math and made all the connections. So even if it's not what Lynch meant, this guy's interpretation, again, one I don't share, is where was I going with the sentence? This guy's interpretation is valid, for want of a better word.
Right. Yeah, because that's one of the things that's so fascinating about storytelling, is it is really a collaborative effort.
Oh yeah.
Once it leaves the mouth of the person who's telling the story, it just kind of becomes something else.
Like the telephone game.
Right. And I've always kind of wondered, like when I see the color red, does it look the same to me as it does to someone else? Because I hear about how some people are colorblind, and then I just kind of I've also heard that women see colors that we don't, or they see it in a way we don't. So I just kind of wonder, maybe.
I had a doctor tell me once that I have a color deficiency for the color green. And I got really angry because green's my favorite color. I mean, whatever it is that I'm perceiving as green, I love it, you know. And I just remember being really like pissed off at the idea that, you know, you mean there's more to this color than even I'm seeing?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No. I color green's my favorite color too. But yeah, it's crazy. Like this thing that you care about, the doctor's telling you, it's just like it's not. You don't even know what it is.
Right.
You've never been there before. That's
Which
crazy.
is as good a definition of love as I've ever heard.
Yeah. You don't know what it is. You've never been there before. So is that a true thing about your ex-wives inspiring 7 Amens Before Sundown?
There is a lot. Excuse me. There's a lot of them in the book. I will say that one line from the dissolution of my second ex, one line that she told me, word for word, made its way into the book.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and that's, you know, inspiration comes from everywhere, man. You know, every writer is just a giant stew pot of every experience he's ever had, and when, you know, the shit bubbles to the surface, like you don't even remember where it came from, but it came from somewhere.
Yeah, and you don't even know.
Yeah.
I always kind of wonder, like, how much is what we say us and how much is just like a product of what we are. There were like these studies that these linguists did where they would have kids act out like pretending they were these different objects. Right. It was interesting because if they were from a country where they had like gendered nouns, they would actually deepen their voice if it was like a male object and then make it higher if it was a feminine one. Now, and I didn't really know that would affect someone, you know, because to me it seems like it's not really something you actually literally think about, but I guess it does, you know, shape the way your brain works. Like language isn't a product of your brain, but it kind of also molds it at the same time.
Language is a virus.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Tom, for coming on. We just hit
Thanks for having me, man.
Dude. Like I was actually meaning to get you on before you even got the book launched, like when I first heard about it, but then just a lot of stuff happened, and then, but you know, finally.
Yeah, and it's as much my fault as yours because we tried to put it together. What was it, like April or something?
Yeah, like April or March or May.
Like I when we connected this week, I went back and, you know, posted in that thread that you and I had. I was like, wait, the last time we talked was April?
Yeah, time flies really quick. Like, so much has happened.
You got that right.
And yeah, it seems to just go faster and faster as it goes.
Yeah.
Until one day it stops. And you don't even know when it's going to stop. It just does.
That's a cheerful thought to end on. Kids, it's all shit. Everything is shit. Don't believe in anything. Don't trust anybody. It's all shit.
Have you ever seen do you know who Weird Al is?
Yeah.
Can I pull up this one clip real quick?
You sure can.
I don't know if you've ever. Okay, so there's this thing where he made a movie. It was called UHF.
Yeah.
Have you seen UHF?
That's the one thing I can't say I have. I've never seen UHF, but I've been familiar with it for a long time. Familiar with it for a long time.
Gotcha. So he makes this he basically lands inside this UHF station that his uncle is forced by his wife to give him, and he takes the job seriously, but the UHF station was just supposed to close, basically. That was
right.
But then he actually makes it take off and it becomes huge. Like it beats all the network affiliated stations. But anyway, one of the shows that they had there, it was like a kids show, and this is like a clip from that.
Hey kids, where do you want to go?
To Uncle Nutsy's clubhouse.
That's right. I'm your Uncle Nutsy. And boy, oh boy, are we going to have some big fun today, huh, kids? Well, let's walk on over and see who's in our kitty corner. Hi, what's your name?
Billy.
Billy what?
And then there's like a part, I'm trying to see if I can find it, where he comes back later because like his girlfriend breaks up with him, and he just like goes on with these same kids, and he's like, "Life sucks. You die. Like, there's no point to it all." And the kids are just like standing there like they don't care. And one of them is like, "I want to go home," and he goes, "Shut up, you little weasel." So, yeah. Anyway, it's a great show.
Billy Crystal's speech to the class at the beginning of City Slickers. Did you ever see that?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, you got to see City Slickers. It's a fun movie.
Let me look that up. Let's see. Billy Crystal's speech. Billy Crystal's speech.
City Slickers.
Okay, I see that. That popped
Oh,
up.
if you got to put it up, man. This is what you're talking about.
Okay, let me see. Is this it?
I can't see.
Oh, wait. It's not on stage.
This is
one
it.
right here? Okay,
Yep.
cool. Let me rewind it. Seems kind of quiet. So.
My dad's named Mitch, and he's a submarine commander.
Danny.
Submarine commander? He works for WBLM Radio.
Well, like Danny said, I work for WBLM Radio.
Are you a disc jockey?
No, I'm not a disc jockey. You know the commercials that are on the radio?
Oh, do you make all those commercials?
No. Other people make the commercials. I sell them time on our station for the commercials to be on.
So you decide which commercials to use and when.
That's right. Well, no, it's not right. It used to be right. Seems now that I even have to check with the station manager if I want to wipe my nose. The minute he took away my authority, I should have quit.
Mr. Robbins.
Here we go.
Value this time in your life, kids. Because this is the time in your life when you still have your choices. And it goes by so fast. When you're a teenager, you think you can do anything, and you do. Your 20s are a blur. 30s, you raise your family, you make a little money, and you think to yourself, what happened to my 20s? 40s, you grow a little pot belly, you grow another chin. The music starts to get too loud. One of your old girlfriends from high school becomes a grandmother. 50s, you have a minor surgery. You'll call it a procedure, but it's a surgery. 60s, you'll have a major surgery. The music is still loud, but it doesn't matter because you can't hear it anyway. 70s, you and the wife retire to Fort Lauderdale. Start eating dinner at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You have lunch around 10, breakfast the night before. Spend most of your time wandering around malls looking for the ultimate soft yogurt and muttering, how come the kids don't call? How come the kids don't call? The 80s, you'll have a major stroke. You end up babbling to some Jamaican nurse who your wife can't stand, but who you call mama. Any questions?
There you go. That's my theory of the universe right there.
Very, very, very fair. It seems that's how things play out. So. Oh, man. Well, thank you again for coming on, Tom. I think that the most appropriate way for me to end actually would be for me to pull up your trailer again. But is there something else you want to say about your book before
I love everybody, and everybody should buy it.
Amen. I could give 7 amens to that.
There you go.
So, like Tom said, buy his book. I don't know how long it's going to be up for still. But get the Graham Nolan
it's storefront, so it'll stay up even after fulfillment.
Oh, okay, I see. Don't tell him that, Tom. Tell him it's limited.
Act now before it's too late.
If you don't buy it now, then the universe will end. Like this book is actually it's a warning. It's a warning about.
I come from the future.
Yes, it's a warning about a vampire apocalypse, and if you don't get this, then it's the end.